What's up, y'all? I am Marcus, and welcome back to From the Dark. Today we are mixing up the style yet again. Today we are rocking this Dark Archer setup. We've got a composite bow plus 10, which will be our main weapon. We've got a great scythe plus 10, the Caestus, the pyromancy flame plus 10, hollow thieves hood. The pyromancy flame plus 10 is going to come into play later in the episode. We got the wanderer's coat, as well as the shadow gauntlets, shadow leggings, rusted iron ring, and ring of the evil eye. Basically, this setup, well, before that, I want to go over a drop that I got while I was farming off camera. I actually got something with a little bit of lore on it. This large club here. The giant undead of Blighttown wield these clubs, which became poisonous from the influence of their surroundings. So the lore point there is that those giant big guys in Blighttown are in fact undead. And also that this piece of wood got poisoned here. This is actually a pretty good strength weapon that actually does have a poison effect on it. You see the 180 down there. So it's pretty useful. So today, this setup, we've got the Ring of the Evil Eye that's going to be restoring HP. Power Within, if you haven't seen this pyromancy before, and also the leg glitch, this particular bonfire, but if you haven't seen this pyromancy before, it greatly increases your attack power, and I believe it also increases your stamina regeneration, but it slowly drains your health. Now, on the original unpatched version of the game, the self-damage that you did with Power Within scaled with your pyromancy flame, whereas the attack bonus that you got from it did not. So you basically wanted to keep your pyromancy flame unupgraded, but they've since patched that a long time ago, so it's totally fine to go ahead and upgrade your pyromancy flame now. But the cool thing about the way I have this set up here today is we can basically one-shot all of the stuff in this swamp with this setup, and since we have the Ring of the Evil Eye, killing these little not infinitely, but seemingly infinitely respawning mosquitoes will constantly be giving us health back while we're exploring a swamp. So it works fairly well. Power Within will eventually wear off, but we still kill stuff pretty quickly with our 20 strength and 20 dex using this composite blow plus 10. Composite bow, as I eat my moss. These slugs are very useful. They tend to drop a lot of upgrade materials. They can drop large titanite shards. They can also drop green shards, and when they drop green shards, they drop them 5 at a time. Don't worry, I am gonna check out that pyromancy set as well as the poison mist spell that we got. Go ahead and zoom in and try to snipe these guys. Get a little HP back. Power Within's worn off, but we still, like I said, do really good damage with this composite bow. The composite bow is actually really strong. Checking out particularly this poison mist, unique pyromancy crafted by Ingi, considered a heretic even at the Great Swamp. Ingi became an egg-bearing undead who serves a deformed girl who speaks an unintelligible tongue. Yeah, I had to back out of the menu real quick there. Getting poisoned by damn mosquitoes. Serves a deformed young girl who speaks an unintelligible tongue. So Ingi became an egg-bearing undead. I think he was already undead and then he became an egg-bearer. That's my guess on that, but you can tell that the wording is a little bit, like, it's not particularly clear. Having said that, some people ask, like, it remains a point of confusion among some players as to whether or not Blighttown is the Great Swamp. Blighttown is not the Great Swamp, okay? The Great Swamp is another region of the world, and it's apparently far from here. And the reason why I say that is because Laurentius's home is the Great Swamp, but not Blighttown. And actually, we'll see this later when we speak with him. He's not from here. This is not the Great Swamp, more or less. But Ingi was a pyromancer, apparently, from the Great Swamp, but got run out. And it's kind of left open as to whether or not the poison pyromancies of Ingi are what have caused the blight of Blighttown, or if it's something else. It's one of those things that's kind of left open in the lore, but it would make sense to me. And probably the reason they ran him out of the Great Swamp is because they didn't want it to end up like this at all. And lock on doesn't help you when they're moving. There we go. And here we get a drop. These guys have a pretty good drop rate. I would say this is probably the better place if you're gonna farm for large Titanite shards. It's better, honestly, not to farm for them and just pick them up later, but if you're wanting to power up some weapons and some armor before you take on Quelaag, this would definitely be the place to do it. This part of the area, one of my least favorite, well, normally it's one of my least favorites because it's very dark. You've got the poison, you've got the mosquitoes, everything is trying to make you just kind of want to hurry up and get out of this kind of muddy junk. It actually the game does a really good job of, like, imparting this feeling of disgust and, like, you really want to leave, right? But I really enjoyed this particular trip through Blighttown once again because, well, in the first place, we're set up to deal with everything, right? I mean, we've got the Rusted Iron Ring, so we've got good movement through the swamp. We've got plenty of poison moss. We've got armor that gives us good resist. We've got the Ring of the Evil Eye, which is constantly restoring HP to us as we kill these enemies. We can kill the enemies quickly and safely with our composite bow. So this was about as enjoyable as it gets. Server. Always felt like that should be called the Sever, but it's server. Server is a pretty unique weapon. It's a curved greatsword. A curved greatsword used in a mysterious ancient rite, imbued with a frightful occult energy which restores HP with each hit. There's a few key words there. Ancient. Ancient in the world of Dark Souls often used in connection with, for example, the dragons, which this is the Great Hollow, and it does actually have a connection to the dragons. That black mass of nothingness over there, that's actually the Great Hollow tree. So there's that possibility. But the word occult is also in there, and that's another. The server doesn't actually have like any set lore to it, but it's just got hints of what could be. You know what I mean? And you see getting more large shards. I always check these bodies because sometimes the glow doesn't show up very well. And running around this side of the tree as well. Just to pick up this little treasure right here. Green Titanite shard. From here, you can enter the Great Hollow. This is one of the most... This is such a massive area to be hidden. It's just insane. It's just absolutely crazy that they would hide an area this large, to be perfectly honest. Like, for the... try jumping off. Not really a great idea. It just... For the amount of resources that they had to have put into this area to make it. Once again, you can see this guy. This is actually a pretty nice little vista right here. No, look at it. Trees in the background, too. For the amount of resources that they had to put into this area to make it so easy to miss is insane. And that's part of what I love about the game. It's a large part of what I love about the game. Plank shield. Makeshift shield built from wood planks provides minimal protection, but at a cost of moderate humiliation. Even as far back as Dark Souls, they were already mocking you for your use of a shield. Although they're the ones that made them really, really damn good. Eagle shield with its 95%. See, the stability is 70 here on the Eagle shield. It only blocks 95% of physical damage. Easiest great shield to handle. Lightest and easiest. the thing about the Eagle Shield, once upon a time, it actually did block 100% of physical damage, and it was overpowered as shit because it's got insane stability. And it might look like this is just the end. That was kind of a deprived class there, and this is, well, nothing more to see here. Deprived class corpse is what it seemed to be. Looks like there's nothing more to see here, but actually a hidden wall. Now the only way, if you roll into it, attack it, something like that accidentally, you might find it. But other than that, if another player leaves a message for you online, you might find it. I'm not sure why the Twin Humanities is in a chest. I really don't know. But they have a second hidden wall. That one was especially sneaky. But this is part of where the game is set up for this online play, and you leaving messages and hints for other players to, hey, there's something ahead. So it only takes one player to accidentally find it, and then they can start leaving messages for other players. And that's another aspect of Dark Souls game design, is that it was designed to make people talk about the game outside of the game. There's a reason why there's not reliable communication in the game. It's to actually make people want to talk about it and think about it outside of the game. Really a perfect game to build a community around. I love this view right here. You can see the sunlight streaming in from the top of this ancient dead tree. Very, very, very cool. Reminds me of the ancient forest in Final Fantasy VII for some reason. I guess probably because of the way the light's coming down. We're not gonna do all of the Great Hollow today because it's a pain in the ass to get out of here if you go all the way to the end of this area before you have the Lord Vessel, because you can't just teleport back. So we're only gonna grab this very special and important ring right here, and then we're gonna get out. Chloranthy ring, and over there you can actually see cursed player corpse. Once again, we're playing online. I guess you can't break it with an arrow. That's interesting. But we got the Chloranthy ring. This is a very, very powerful ring. I'm just going to use a homeward bone to get myself out of there. Save a little bit of time walking back up. So Chloranthy boosts stamina recovery speed, and once again, this ancient ring engraved with a large green flower is of unknown origin. Fascinating too that you find the server near the Great Hollow and it's ancient, and then you find the Chloranthy and it's ancient. Another thing, rite. I'm trying to think of the different sorts of rites that we find in the game. There are the rites of Velka that are used to create certain items, if I remember correctly. Let's see. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember off the top of my head. There's rites with Velka. I want to say there were some sort of sacrificial rites for the creation of the bite rings as well, maybe? I can't recall right off the top of my head. But those are some of the rites that we know about. The other major rite that we know about is the rite of kindling. So, you know, these rites tend to be involved or connected to one of the deities, whether it's Gwyn or Lloyd or Velka, like. And kind of looking forward to Dark Souls 3. It's going to be fun looking back at this series after Dark Souls 3 is released and kind of seeing what we're guessing at and what we were completely off base on. But looking forward to Dark Souls 3, I think there's going to be some sort of ceremony or rite involved in perhaps the creation of bonfires. Like, we've talked about that before, like from the gameplay trailer where it shows a hot poker going into a corpse, and then I'm saying that that's probably going to burn away to become a bonfire, perhaps, because it just kind of seems like it would fit. That may also be another sort of rite. I don't know. It also goes back to one of the original screenshots for Dark Souls 3 actually had, in the Japanese for it, it actually had shiki, which is ceremony, but it can also be translated as rite. So, we'll see. But we'll have to come back to the Great Hollow after we get the Lord Vessel, just because it's so difficult to get out of there. And it's interesting or not rather difficult, it's rather it takes time. But it's just so fascinating to me. Like, game design, it's difficult to, when you're talking about budgets as large as they are to make games like this, it's difficult to pour so much money and resources into something and then truly hide it. And then, like, expect most players not to find it. It's the exact opposite of what most games do these days, where they make the game simple enough that anybody who pays the $60 for the game gets to experience all of the content. Like, that's kind of a driving force behind a lot of game design these days, whereas this completely goes against that, and I love it. I guess it was easier back in the Famicom, Super Nintendo days to just have massive hidden content, because maybe it didn't cost quite as much. You'll notice here that the enemies will fly over this direction, but they can't attack us. This is mostly a convenience thing, so that they don't interfere with us speaking with this NPC, but it also kind of has a little bit of lore significance behind it, which we'll find out as soon as we speak.
A mere undead, yet you can see me. Fascinating. I am Quelana of Izalith. I am not often revealed to walkers of flesh. You have a gift. Are you too one who seeks my pyromancy, like Salomon? Yes, of course. It should be expected. Very well. You shall be my pupil, but to pursue my pyromancy, you must give something up. Are you prepared to do this?
So this is the advanced pyromancy trainer. She's got lots of good pyromancies for us. Starts off with Fire Orb, improved upon Fireball. We already have that. Then there's Great Fireball, Ultimate Fireball Pyromancy. Salaman, the Master Pyromancer, also called the Great Fireball after this spell, believed pyromancy was rooted in an adoration of fire. That possibly indicating that Laurentius's teacher is Salomon, or learned from Salomon. Like, fire is the ultimate fantasy. Pyromancy is rooted in the adoration of fire. Who knows? Maybe Salomon is his teacher. Maybe he's still alive, or maybe learned from Salomon directly, and so he has the same ideas. Primal Pyromancy taught by Quelana of Izalith. The storm of flame is indiscriminate and incinerates all nearby life. We have a primal pyromancy, an original pyromancy, one from the beginning. The root pyromancy of combustion, but much more difficult to wield. Fire whip. And we will be getting all of these. And then there's combustion, basic pyromancy. There's also great combustion. Sorcerers mock the simplicity of this spell, but I'm here to tell you. Advanced pyromancy of Quelana of Izalith. Charm undead and gain temporary allies. The living are lured by flame, and this relationship is part and parcel of the art of pyromancy. Can be used by either gender. This is not a sort of sexual charm. This is life is charmed by flame. People like moths to the flame. Love it. And we'll be playing around with that as well. She can also upgrade our pyromancy flame and even ascend it, and we will do that. But later.
Long ago, I accepted another pupil like yourself. Over 200 years ago, there was a man almost as bungling as you. In your world, he was called Salaman, the Master Pyromancer. The little rascal really made something of himself. Pyromancy is the art of invoking and manipulating fire. But remember one thing. Always fear the flame, lest you be devoured by it and lose yourself. I would hate to see that happen again. Pyromancy, but always fear the flame, lest you be devoured by it and lose yourself. I would hate to see that happen again. No luck, Well, young pupil, you must have patience, but do not keep me waiting much longer.
Alright, a lot of stuff there. In the first place, like I said, these enemies can't attack us. There's a little bit of a story reason behind it. It seems like Quelana kind of has a glamour or some sort of shield that lets her avoid detection, like around her little spot there. having a pyromancy flame plus 10 seems to be the trigger. A lot of people are going to report that they've actually encountered Quelana of Izalith without having a plus 10 pyromancy flame. The wiki has a bit of information, the wiki.wiki has a bit of information on this, saying that all it takes is for a plus 10 pyromancy flame to be present in the area, which means that another player, like perhaps co-op or even invading, could have a plus 10 flame and that be the trigger. I actually think that makes a lot of sense. I don't have any solid proof on that there's no other trigger, but from what I know, that seems to be how it is. It's just, you know, there's going to be... The trouble with something like this is there's always conflicting reports, but you can never really tell how much of it is people just misremembering stuff, because, you know, it's easy to make a simple mistake like that. But I believe the plus 10 flame is the primary trigger. But yeah, she also... very fascinating stuff about Salaman that gives us a little bit of timeline information. She said it was over 200 years ago. Now, once again, Laurentius said his master was a withering old frog. Over 200 years ago, he would be pretty old. So, possible, very possible. I would say that also means that Carmina is sooner than that, is less than the over 200 years ago that Salaman, because I think Carmina is probably going to have learned from Salaman. I think that Quelana is basically the source of pyromancy for the human world, as it were. And she specifically mentions that long ago she took a pupil. She doesn't say she had more than one. She specifically makes a big deal out of the fact that she had one pupil, Salaman. So I think that he's the one who came and spread this all. Here we got another rare drop. These guys with the boulders can drop the pickaxe. The pickaxe is a hammer that only does thrusting attacks. There's no real lore there, but unless you want to consider that these giant undeads were perhaps miners, I don't know. But it is the thrusting only damage type hammer. So, but that's a bit of stuff with the timeline. Thanks to Quelana, and we'll get a lot more. She also said that remember one thing: always fear the flame, lest you be devoured by it and lose yourself. I would hate to see that happen again. Some people take this to mean Salaman. I don't think so. She talks about Salaman and how he went on, the little rascal really went on to make something of himself, and she doesn't really seem to indicate in any way that something bad has happened to him, whereas we know for a fact that something bad has happened to Quelana's mother and her sisters, and I guess perhaps her brother, although that may have happened before. Anyway, we'll talk about that when we get there. But Quelana is definitely one of the coolest NPCs in the game. These boulder guys. And, you know, I always... It's just interesting to me that she calls you a mere undead. And I don't know. I just... It almost makes me feel like the witches themselves are a completely different race or species or what have you. And that would have the gods being another one. And that's entirely possible. Them iframes, man. Here I want to show the bonus damage from headshots. So you see my normal hits are doing 165. 248 when I shot him in the face. And it also staggered him. Different enemies' heads, arms, and legs will provide damage boosts, and different enemies, when you hit them in the head, they'll take different amounts of increased damage depending on how armored they are. These guys, not really heavily armored there, so a good old arrow to the face does a good bit of damage. Another fascinating point about arrows and also bolts, I suppose, from crossbows, is that thrusting type damage can do counter hits, and so arrows can be used to counter hit, and they can be used to counter hit very safely because obviously you can attack from range. Really cool detail of the system. We'll show it off more as we proceed, but here we go. I wanted him to do the rolling attack just so you guys could have a look at it. The Great Scythe, once again, very nice weapon. Very nice weapon. Its moveset is great. And here we get the Great Club. People also often confuse the Large Club and the Great Club. They're completely different weapons. They fill a similar role, but the Great Club is heavier. Giant tree branch serves as a wooden club, smashes enemies from upside the head. But the thing about the Great Club, like, it has higher base damage than the Large Club, and a little bit lower strength scaling, but they both scale with strength. And the Large Club has the poison damage, so they are kind of, they're different. They're different weapons, and I often have people complaining at me on my old videos about when I say the Large Club is a drop from these guys, and they're like, no, I found one. I'm like, no, that's the Great Club. Just one of those little points that people get confused on. To be fair, this game's got plenty of shit to get confused on. I still, you know, as much as I've played it, and as many times as I've played it, I've probably forgotten as much as I've known through the years, or more. I may be negative in knowledge at this point. Alright, we're still not done though. We are still not done with the swamp. With Blighttown. First, we gotta reverse hollowing. There is an NPC invader here that we gotta deal with. And I'm also gonna kindle the flame because having 10, Estus flasks for dealing with Quelaag is pretty useful. Saw a summon sign there. I should have checked it out just so you could see the name, so that if the person just happens to see my videos, they could have seen their name. I'll try to check them out next time. Sorry about that. There's Maneater Mildred. I'm completely missing these guys. Alright, this character is a reference to Demon Souls, and also a joke. And I'm missing my parries for God knows what reason. I never miss my parries on Mildred. You see that nice arc on that battle axe, or not battle axe, the butcher's knife. It is classed as an axe, by the way. Get a heal. Get out of there. I want to kill those mosquitoes, so I baited her to attack. Ooh, I didn't quite have enough time. I'm lucky she got caught on that wall right there. I was about to get chopped in the face. But the crazy lady of the swamp in the Valley of Defilement in 5-2. There we go. There we go. In Demon Souls. Very famous Red Phantom. Much more difficult than Maneater Mildred. That game's version of this weapon, much stronger. The meat cleaver, much stronger than the butcher's knife. And the fact that she can roll in the swamp, whereas you cannot, like, all kinds of issues. That was a seriously hardcore Phantom. And so during development of this game, somebody was messing around, like invading as if they were her here in the swamp. And that just kind of, it stuck, and it's in the game now. So it was an internal developer joke that stuck. Now, obviously, there is the lore of the man-eating cooks. Like, they went ahead and they ran with it, and I think they often do this. And matter of fact, I know that FromSoft often, like, they find something that's funny, and then they find a way to build it into the game, and they'll even go as far as explaining it so that you can take it in a variety of different ways. You can either, like, get the joke, miss the joke, and still find the lore aspects of it. Like, it's all good. But defeating Maneater Mildred... Let me see these egg bearers. I want to get a little look at these undead egg bearers. Praying for what and to whom? Well, we're probably about to find out to whom, but After defeating Maneater Mildred, you can actually summon her to help you with this boss, and it's a pretty good idea to do so. Mildred's quite tanky. I'll show you the butcher knife that we got. Giant butcher knife wielded by the undead man-eating cook lurking in the depths. More a tool for subduing and preparing live catches than an actual weapon. Those who have faced this deadly blade have a deeper sense of how helpless prey must feel. This also, similar to the server, restores HP per hit. We will use it later. I actually really like the butcher's knife quite a bit. And we're gonna summon Mildred. And then we're gonna hurry through the fog so that Quelaag hopefully doesn't get the bonus HP. Miss Glossy Lips herself, Chaos Witch Quelaag, trying to show off headshots on Quelaag. Her entire human part of her body is a weak spot for the purposes of arrows. Actually, not only just arrows, other sorts of physical attacks can, and possibly, yeah, I guess magic attacks as well. Other attacks can stun her. See, we got a stun there when I shot her in her tit. Sorry about that, Quelaag. They're very nice, lady, but you know, you're trying to kill me, so. Quelaag herself is a reference, or is very much inspired, like directly inspired. Miyazaki-san said in an interview it was inspired by the Crag Spider from Dragon Pass. It's an old board game. Miyazaki-san likes a lot of old RPGs, like tabletop RPGs and board games and stuff. Ooh, that was a good shot. Right in the forehead. Go. Be careful of the lava, she's spitting around all over the place. Boss, let's see. I'm trying to show you here that it doesn't have to be an arrow. That you can actually certain weapons like the Great Scythe are really good against Quelaag because you can aim up. I'm not gonna lock on. I'm just gonna manually aim up and cut her right there across the chest. And we're gonna go for the finish here. She ain't got no answer for this. With Maneater Mildred out, Power Within, Composite Bow, she's screwed. But bosses in Souls games do get bonus HP per summon that you have with you. I think in Dark Souls, if you enter the boss fog before the summoning is complete, the boss does not get the HP bonus. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but given how fast she just died, I think that's the case. And it is a significant boost to their HP as well, so it's a good idea to get in there if you can. Time to ring my bell. This giant is opening the way to Sin's Fortress. You saw the bell tower in the background. I'm gonna zoom in right here so you guys can see this. I want you to look at this golem right here. You can actually see him. Or this giant right here. We are actually gonna visit this fella. That's the guy who's opening the fortress up, and we actually can see him in game and kill him, and we will. Really cool detail. The presence of the bell tower there actually letting you know where you need to go to. Guys, I am Marcus, also known as EMB. This has been From the Dark. Hope you guys enjoyed the Evil Archer build. We got the Soul of Quelaag. Once daughter of the Witch of Isleth, but now a Chaos Demon. Yeah, that's gonna wrap us up for today. We're gonna do the thing, and I'll catch you guys next time. Later.